What's going on, guys? Tyrauku here. Hope you're all doing great today. I wanted to say that a video that I made a few weeks ago, maybe even a few months ago, I may not have been giving this champion all the credit he was due or deserved. Now, I'm not going to be completely saying that video was wrong because I still think that this champion doesn't quite live up to the hype, but I do think he has some use now. Okay, so today I was building my Arbiter and I got her a little bit more speed. So I got her +8 speed. So like, well, if I got her +8 speed, she's actually faster than my fastest gear that can go on Siffy, 1 speed faster. But I was like, okay, well, now's the time to go ahead and try to build an attack-based nuker. So I have Herndig, I have Ray, I have Genbo, I have Skullcrown, I have some decent options for attack-based nukers. Well, I also have Yannicka. With Herndig, the issue is that he's weak affinity against Candrafons, against Rector Draths, against, well, Force affinity champions in general, Mountain Kings, all that kind of stuff. So that's a pretty big issue, especially when his A2 or A3 ability requires the first hit to actually crit, right? Will also attack all enemies if the first attack is critical. So if I hit a Force affinity champion, it's not a crit, then he doesn't do his AoE hit, which greatly reduces his damage overall. So I was looking through my stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Genbo a shot again. So before, I played around with him a little bit. He didn't really do that much damage, especially compared to champions like Herndig, but seeing his value from being Void Affinity, seeing his value from being able to gear him with 30% less crit rate and getting the 30% extra crit damage, meaning I can put more attack on him, don't have to worry about as much about the crit damage. Granted, I do have a good amount of crit damage, but I can stack a little bit more attack on him because I know he's going to get that extra 30% crit damage from his skill, right? So this ability is going to go first, and then he's going to go into this ability, which is AoE ability, which hits pretty decent when I have him set up the way I currently have him set up. So the gear on him is more or less the best I could get without taking gear off of Herndig, because Herndig is my favorite nuker as far as like using him on my go second team with Necrit, because he doesn't have to be super fast, but he works out very well in that team. I don't think Genbo would work as well just because of how he kind of functions, and he really relies on the team composition that I have currently set up. So this video, as you may be able to tell, is going to be a little bit different than my typical video. This more so, I want to just kind of test this out, get your guys' opinion, showcase some things, and just, test around, play around with some different ideas. All right. So also, my eye, you may have noticed already, it's pretty red over here, basically matching my t-shirt. My contacts are bothering my eyes for whatever reason. My glasses are broke. The whole side rim thing are just completely off. So I was like, well, do this with a red eye, do this with broken glasses, or do the video with no webcam whatsoever. I'm like, well, if I'm going to tell people that I'm more or less going back on what I said before, I don't want to not use a webcam. People say, oh, you couldn't even show your face when you're saying you were wrong about Genbo. Well, slow up. I still don't think I'm 100% wrong about Genbo. Like, as far as the champion goes, I do think he's usable. I do think he's a decent nuker. I do think he has some use in the arena. This team specifically works out pretty well, to be honest, okay? So what I can do here is Kymar can sleep and strip, so I have him going a little bit slower than I had him going before when I had him with Siffy. So now he's basically working like a Madame Saris. So he's running like 600 accuracy, close to it. So he's stripping most people. And then we have Lydia, who's actually basically perfectly speed tuned with Genbo, which this may not make a lot of sense, but Lydia's 190 speed and Genbo's 193 speed. But because we have the speed aura from Arbiter, the speed aura in the arena battles applies to the champion's base speed. So it gives Lydia more speed than Genbo, even though she has less overall speed before we get into the arena battles, which seems like it doesn't make sense. But if you actually think about it, it does. If you're confused, definitely leave it down in the comment section below. I'll try to explain it some more and clarify that. But after testing him out a little bit more, I'm seeing, okay, I can ignore Swift Parry. And if somebody does survive, which we should see some people surviving here in a little while, once I get up into Plat, then even if a res champion does survive, Lydia's going to block their res anyways, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So I'm hoping to actually test Genbo in the upcoming Plat push possibly and see how he does. But I mean, so far what I've been doing with him seems to be a little bit better than what I originally expected him to do. So here we have counterattacks, shields. It's going to be kind of obnoxious, but ideally he'll just one-shot everybody, right? So 99,000, 114,000. Yeah, he's not going to be hitting as big as Herndig, like at least, especially against the Spirit Affinity champions, Magic Affinity champions, obviously Force Affinity champions. He'll be doing more than Herndig because Herndic's going to weak hit. Pretty likely. It feels like it happens all the time to me. But how much more damage do you need over 100,000, right? Like if you're doing 100,000 damage to somebody and you're not killing them, they got some crazy stacked gear. And yeah, you're kind of screwed no matter what, right? So this is a bad situation. Obviously, this is the downside of having an attack-based snooker is that they get slapped by Kangaskhan, plus having Kymar with the A2. If my team was speed tuned, this would be a little bit differently. Ideally, I just wouldn't even attack this team in the best case scenario, but I got to go ahead and do it. I got to go ahead and hit them. Hopefully, dang, she just blew Genbo right on over. All right, so we're going to go ahead and back out of this. Kangaskhan, not a good option because Kymar, weak hits, doesn't put him to sleep. Bad news, all right? Now this one, double Force Affinity. I could use that. I could attack that with my my defense team. This one right here probably with Herndig in it. But we're not going to do that. I just want to showcase Genbo and kind of what he can do in this video. Let's go this one, okay? I want to see a team where he doesn't one-shot everybody and see how that kind of plays out. Like this one, if that Duchess was super tanky and he didn't one-shot her, it wouldn't really matter. Now this team specifically, I think works very well with these champions, and if you substitute them or switch them in and out, it can still work, but it's just much smoother with this because Kymar's doing this strip, so if they have immunity, he's taking all that off. They're speed tuned very well. Lydia is doing decreased defense and weaken and block and revive of anybody who's trying to get revived, and Genbo's ignoring Swift Parry. So other than running into people who are running reaction accessories, it's a pretty smooth team, at least from what I've tested so far. However, Rotos is bad against Genbo. Well, he's bad news. This is where somebody like Trunda would be a lot better, right? Because of the double hits, triple hits from Trunda's abilities. She's just crazy in general. I would have loved to have got her on the last 10x event, but I didn't have shards for that, unfortunately. But I will have shards for the next Hedgie 10x event, whenever that comes up, someday, somehow, hopefully. But let's see how this goes, okay? So this team is pretty tanky. I don't know whether Krisk is in line, but Genbo may get, which actually he's immune to decrease attack. So it doesn't matter if I hit this Krisk. So some champions, when you hit a team like this, you don't have block debuffs, the Krisk is going to apply decreased attack to my champion. But since he's immune, don't have to worry about it. I'll probably one-shot everybody. Yeah, perfect. 131,000 damage, total of 265. So most of these teams, I'm going to be able to one-shot pretty. This one should be a pretty good test, actually. We got very tanky champions. We have a Bogoth. I don't even know his name because I don't have him. That's one champion I would love to have. Let's see. Lydia, decreased defense and weaken opens up so many new doors, okay? Now, Duchess has nothing on her, so we're going to see what kind of damage Genbo does on a champion who doesn't have decreased defense or weaken applied to him. Let's go ahead and hit him. Boom. So 32,000. Now, this is where it's going to be perfect because of Lydia. If we didn't have Lydia there, she would have rezzed, and we could reset with Kymar, but in general, it would just be a crappy situation. And if we had two champions over here who could res, I actually went against a Duchess and Roglin earlier today, and the Duchess rezzed everybody, and then Lydia got her turn and locked out the Roglin from doing anything else, which was actually really cool. So now Duchess, we don't have to worry about Swift Parry. We don't have to worry about her resin. So overall, this is going to be pretty safe. We'll go ahead and use our A1 here. It actually hits pretty hard as well, to be honest. 28, 30,000-ish. She didn't have decreased defense or weaken. We can't apply that because she has too much resistance for my, I guess, pitiful, I didn't even think it was that bad, resistance on or accuracy on Lydia. I think she's sitting at like almost 600, I thought. I may have to stack that up a little bit more. She's in a shield set, which is not necessarily needed because Genbo doesn't survive anyways, even with her shield set. But I was hoping for some extra protection. It may not actually perform like that, though. Let me go through here. This team right here is probably going to be pretty tanky. If they survive, I want to test my Herndig on the same thing. And then we'll bring in some new nukers in here and see how it works. But in general, I mean, they're all going to be one-shotting, so it's not going to be massive differences anyways. So let's go ahead and do this. And then let's see if we one-shot everybody. Okay, reaction procs to be expected. So reaction obviously doesn't give a very fair comparison because it's going to block basically all the damage anyways. We're going to go ahead and back out of here. Let me go ahead. Okay, so we got the block revive. Perfect. That's going to work with Herndig, though, as well. No problem. The thing with Herndig, though, is we're not going to have the ability to ignore Swift Parry. So if they do proc Swift Parry, we're kind of just out of luck, basically. Now, my Herndig is not perfectly speed tuned with Lydia. I think he's sitting at like 190 speed, so he's a few speed off, so they may cut in on him. Just depends how close they are speed tuned. But it's okay if I wouldn't be too upset if Raglan or Duchess went ahead and took their turn. So then I wouldn't have to worry about reaction. See what happens here. Boom. Okay, so if it was Genbo, he'd ignore Swift Parry. It's not Genbo, so we don't ignore the Swift Parry. However, you can see here the benefit, we just wiped everybody out. Granted, no reaction proc. Let's see if we can do this again and not get a reaction proc from Genbo to see if he would one-shot everybody if they don't proc reaction. I want to keep this as fair as possible. Like I said, granted though, Herndig is a legendary and Genbo is an epic. So if he's even comparing whatsoever to Herndig, then I guess it gives him a legit enough reason to actually be used as a nuker in the arena. Now, going against Skull Crowns, yeah, he's a great champion, right? Going against Skull Crowns in Gold 4, no problem. I mean, Skull Crowns can literally one-shot your entire team if they get a turn after the unkillable. Hopefully, no reaction procs here. Boom. So he did work. Reaction procced on Raglan. He would have killed everybody. No Swift Parry. I bet you more than just that Warlord had Swift Parry. And now Lydia comes in. Poison sensitivity, the one thing I didn't really need. Doesn't matter. She's going to cleanse it all anyways. We're going to come back around to Genbo. Kaimar reset. This team does have pretty good other utility outside of Genbo. Kaimar resets, Kaimar sleeps, Lydia block and revive. All that stuff fits together in this team pretty good. And honestly, I'm liking it so far. It could change tomorrow. It could definitely change tomorrow. But I do want to say, for anybody who watched that video on Genbo, I do think he has some use. If you can build a team similar to this, let's even test it with Madam Saris. It is going to feel weird though if we don't kill everybody, because if they proc, well, if they stay alive, they can res because no Lydia to block or the revive. Which if they're Swift Parry procs, that's no problem because we'll kill them no matter what. The nice benefit though is everybody who slept will stay asleep, and Madam should remove everything. So she's pretty high resistance. Like this, she's pretty high accuracy. So this kind of team I would use against teams who run high accuracy or high resistance. Sorry, I keep getting those words messed up. But high resistance. I would use my Madam who has high accuracy. So if this team I've seen they had like 350,000, 400,000 player power, I'd go ahead and throw my Madam Saris in there, let her strip everything, and should be good to go. Now, Genbo here, I don't think he's going to one-shot everybody. I'll be pretty surprised if he does. Okay, he didn't one-shot everybody. To be expected, right? So Raglan's still pretty healthy. Duchess is there, pretty healthy as well. She's gonna be able to res, no problem. And now we're locked out. Bad news bears basically here. He might be able to one-shot Krisk with the yeah. So he chopped him down, not a big deal, and he gets res. So obviously Lydia is massive in this team as well. We're just gonna rinse and repeat. That res from Raglan is pretty annoying. Now getting everything speed tuned is a little bit tricky because, like I said, with Genbo you have to actually make him faster than Lydia to get him speed tuned to make sure everything was right. But I mean, you can use Deadwood Jedi's arena calculator, and it works very, very well, of course. So it still works. He still nukes everybody down. Decent champion. Now this is all for arena, right? So for dungeons and stuff, I imagine he's doing decent damage on the waves. Let's go ahead and jump in there and test that out as well. Also, I'm curious, do any of you guys actually use Genbo in much content other than arena? Do you use him? I don't think, which I mean, I could be wrong here as well. I don't think he's going to have a ton of use in dungeon waves, but maybe you can use him for some of that damage stuff, right? Now for faction wars, he'll probably have some use, right? Like you're going to probably need a damage dealer. He does bring damage. That is definitely true. He definitely has some damage, but comparing him to other nukers, I don't know if it depends. Okay, so like if you have Ithos, I think Ithos is going to do more damage than Genbo. Legendary though, right? It's a legendary champion. If you plan on getting attacked by the enemy, Skull Crown is going to fit that situation better. If you want to just move through everybody, you have decreased defense and weaken with a champion like Lydia, and you plan on one-shotting people, and Skull Crown's weak if they have Swift Parry on their champions, so just bring in Genbo, and you don't have to worry about that. So each one of these champions are like, I guess the best way to explain it is the popular saying of different tools for different jobs, right? You're not going to use a hammer to get a screw, right? To screw in a screw. You're not going to use a screwdriver. I guess you could use a screwdriver to nail in a nail, but it's not efficient, right? It's not effective. Same thing with Genbo, Skull Crown, all these other nuke champions, right? So if you get it, you get the point. I'm not going to elaborate. I'm not going to keep going on, His damage here is decent at best. I mean, well, I guess let's see how much damage he did overall. We kind of just took a decent chunk out of everybody. 565,000 damage, good damage. Let's see what Herndig does. We need something to compare it to, right? Always need something to compare it to. 565 damage, 565,000 from Genbo. Let's see what kind of damage old Herndig is bringing. So we'll use Herndyg's A3 ability, which I believe is his hardest hitting ability. Well, this is going to be pretty terrible because these are Force Affinity champions. So let's use his A2 instead. So it's going to be nowhere near the same amount of damage because these are all Force Affinity, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and go here again. Go to stage 24 instead. And we'll just leave that part in the video because I was talking about the screwdrivers and hammers and drill and yeah, a bunch of different tools, all right? Go ahead and do this. We'll throw Genbo back in here to see what he does as well, okay? Just a good comparison. All right, let's go ahead and back out. And Herndig did 654,000. Genbo does, so 654,000 from Herndig. 654. And then get him buffed up, increase crit rate, increase crit damage. So 654 from Herndig, and we have a whopping 680 from Genbo. Okay. All right, Genbo. You showed up my Herndig. You did more damage than him. Not a massive amount more. The utility is also different. Herndig does have some buffs and debuffs and stuff. But, all right. I guess overall, if you can build him to do good damage, if he can fit into your team, he seems to be a champion who may be worth investing in. When I first took him to 60, he did disappoint me. He was not what I was hoping for. He was not what I was looking forward to. He wasn't as good as I was hoping he was going to be. He didn't hit as hard as my nukers that I was using, and I couldn't replace him. But with testing him out with Lydia and using my Kymar as a strip, I'm starting to actually like Genbo, which is something I did not think I would be saying. But I am starting to like him. I am going to continue to try him. I would like to try to use him in Plat Push possibly this weekend because I think there is a ton of utility in being able to ignore Swift Parry, especially with all the extremely annoying teams currently in the arena. Ignoring Swift Parry is such a good utility for the arena. And plus bringing Lydia is so nice. Now, honestly, I may actually go in and re-gear her a little bit to give her more accuracy because I don't like it when she misses. Granted, if Kymar misses, she's going to miss. They're basically the same accuracy. So it may not even matter. But here, I got a feeling they're going to have Swift Parry. Somebody probably has Swift Parry over there. And it doesn't even matter. Like, I won't even know, okay? I won't even know. How would they know? They're going to know. No. That's so terrible. If you guys want, that was actually terrible. If you guys watch TikTok, I don't watch TikTok, but I've heard that thing so many times. So many times. Just look up, how would they know? If you guys want to hear that little sound bite that I just kind of recited and then decided that's no-go, bad idea. So double, triple Trunda. Some people just, I don't know. I guess they get pretty lucky on their free-to-play accounts, right? Let's do this one. This will be on our last match, 350,000 team power. This is where I would swap Lydia out for Madame Saris, but just because I want Lydia in here so badly, I'm not going to do that. I want my Lydia in here. No Madame Saris needed. Now, their team's not speed tuned. It's difficult to speed tune a team like this, for sure, because, I mean, they only have Arbiter, right? So they don't have anything else to keep it speed tuned. We're going to go ahead and buff up some more. Decrease defense and weaken. Hopefully it applies to everybody. I don't know where their resistance is coming from because everybody got it applied. Maybe it's spread out across to everybody. Boom. Dropped them. But look, Arbiter's like, oh, well, I'll res. I'm surprised that she actually used her res at the right time because Arbiter typically on auto, she'll use her res for a turn meter boost, right? So she gets pretty greedy. She wants to speed herself up. But I like that. I like this team. I'm enjoying it. If you have Lydia, maybe try this team out. Maybe test it out. Let me know where you use Genbo. If you guys like this kind of video, definitely let me know down below. I try to keep the videos more informative, but I've been testing this out for a little while today. And I'm like, hey, I've been dogging on Genbo for a while. Wasn't a huge fan of him. So I'm like, you know, if I found out that I kind of like him, I might as well share it with you guys because he probably will be useful for faction wars, right? So Genbo, you've moved up on my list from useless to I'll use you sometimes. Thank you all very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.